Hey guys, it's Chris here back again with another episode of Mtga Misplays. Today we are just playing a greenback pile of random cards I had in my collection. The daily quest for today said green-black, so green-black it is. And we're going to see if this will actually be able to actually do anything. I doubt it will. It's not that great. But yeah, we got Aegon there, God of Death. Green-black mill, that's the plan. About to say, typed in mill, put in mill cards, then put in big creatures. Should be fun. We are on to match 1. Match 1 here against Arcia. I think that's how you pronounce it, I don't know for sure, but we're going to see what our opponent has in store for us. As I was saying, I don't know how good this deck is going to be, but I do remember this first match for its epic proportions, which is why we get this long segue intro into it, because it's such a harrowing and difficult to comprehend match that I feel as though I needed to eke a little bit more time out of it. So you'll have to forgive me if you find that annoying, but here we are into the match. We're actually going to look at our hand here in a second. Oh, nope, never mind. They conceded. That's a game 1. Okay, and here we are on to game 2 against this opponent whose name is not in English, so I don't know how to say it. I think it's actually in Japanese, which I am studying, so I could recognize a letter maybe, but it's early in the morning, I don't remember that much. Here's our opening hand. Got a pretty good one. This time around, we'll actually get to play some magic, which should be good for the deck. Might be bad for the deck, honestly. It's not that great of a deck. We get our swamp down. Maybe. Hopefully. Oh, it was our opponent's turn. That's why we didn't get our swamp down. Always too impatient. Always, always, always. Okay, and now we're going to be able to get our swamp down. And with that swamp, we're going to play our Throne of the Death God. Cool sounding card name. Not exactly the highest power level card, but hey, the back half is 6/6 for 3 with Death Touch. Ain't too bad. And it'll draw you a card in the worst case scenario, so it at least cycles. Throne could be good too. I just haven't seen it be good in the 6 or 7 games I've played with it. Get down our Mire Triton. Good old Mire Triton. He's been the backbone of mill decks and Standard for a long time. He even shows up in Historic. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this in the intro, but we are playing Standard today. So none of that high-octane Historic action that we're all used to. Just some low-key Standard fun. And you know what Standard fun means. Removal abounds. Mill a card. Hey, look, it's a forest. We needed one of those. We can get down our Skull Prophet. Skull Prophet's a mana dork that also mills, which is why he's in the deck. As I said in the intro, I pretty much just searched mill in the MTGA search bar and just, dragged everything I thought was good in there. Hey, look, that's an enchantment. We only have one card in our deck that can deal with enchantments, and that would be Kogla. Oh, hey, it's Kogla. Kogla's a good card. We're a little ways away from casting it thanks to our 3 black mana symbols, but we can get a Binding of the Titans down. That might get us a green source eventually. Hey, look there. Vorinclex just went in the yard. And another Binding down. Standard is a pretty fun format. In theory, most of the time. In practice, most of the time, it's not that fun. Because there's generally one degenerate combo deck that's running around that will stomp you half the time, and the other half the time you have facing decks that are designed to defeat the one degenerate combo deck. But our current Standard doesn't have anything like that. There are a few decks that are like tier 1 status, but we don't have an all-encompassing overlord like we did at the beginning of the new Zendikar set. Anybody was around then? Oh, Omnath. He was not fun to play against. I'm glad Omnath is dead. Unlike some of the other broken cards in Standard, I did not really enjoy playing him, and I did not really enjoy playing against him. Like, I've played some janky Uro decks, and I've played some janky Teferi decks, but there were no janky Omnath decks. You could not do fair things with Omnath. To be fair, you're not doing fair things with Uro either. You're not really doing things with Teferi either. But you don't feel like you've just won the game when you played your Uro or Teferi. When you play an Omnath, you feel like you've won the game. But for like 4 different colors of mana, that was supposed to be a hindrance. It wasn't. Lotus Cobra is a good card. I know I haven't really been focusing on the match, but not a lot's been happening. Our Kogla dies. That's not good for us. We're milling. Get Triton in the graveyard. Gonna see if we can get some good things out of our graveyard. We can get our Kogla back. And something else too. Probably Vorinclex. Probably the most upside. Yeah. Vorinclex and Pelucranos Unchained. Really fun. Really fun. Don't know if we see it this game, but it is fun. I think we see it in one of the games. And considering this is, spoiler alert, probably the only non-game in the match, this is probably the one where we see it. Kogla comes down. He's going to eat a cat. Giant King Kong monkey eating a cat. That's got to be pretty creepy. Pretty disturbing imagery there, but it's magic. That's how it works. It's not meant to be taken that way. If you took it that way, it's your fault, not mine. Well, they get their Triome. They get more cats. Kogla only fights on entry, though, so you can't deal with those cats directly. Oh, look at Calyx. Calyx probably has something to say about our big ape. Look at that, he does. He says that Kogla isn't welcome here. Honestly, it's a bridge too far. Millin' and chillin'. Hey, look, it's your bog standard 11-11-2-2. Oh, 11-11 2 mana cost, or I suppose it's mana value these days. That change is coming with Strixhaven. This video will definitely go up before Strixhaven, but gotta get used to the new terminology. I mean, I grew up with converted mana cost, so I'm a little preferential towards it, but to be fair, it's a pretty wordy phrase that doesn't really mean a lot if you don't know what we're talking about. But so does mana value. Gonna swing in for 3. It's not like we'll be playing any Koglas anytime soon, so don't need that 3rd green pip. Maybe we can get a cat off the board. They know we have Vorinclex in hand, so I bet they're sandbagging some removal for it. Ooh, a Death Touch cat. Magic just has a lot of weird things happening that you don't know, or that you don't realize just looking at things. Hey, a Banishing Light. Ooh, and a Pegasus Maker. He has a real name, I don't know it though. Mire's Grasp. All of this is looking good. Not for us, but it is looking good. And we drew a Skull Prophet. Sadly, our Skull Prophets cannot reach the air. They're like Nylea. In that way, at least. In every other way, they differentiate, but Vorinclex comes down. Gonna swing in. They could block out Vorinclex here. They want to trade away their Pegasus Maker. I think he's called Archon of Sun's Grace, but that may be off. Calyx does what Calyx does. He's looking for enchantments. And he finds one. Enchantment creatures. Oh, Elspeth Conquers Death. I believe we found our first punt. Because I believe that was going to try to kill Vorinclex. Oh, so many people, myself included, have tried to kill Vorinclex with an Elspeth Conquers Death, and it never works. And it's always sad. Always sad. Less sad for us. But in general, you know what I'm talking about. Oh, here comes. We're going to get our 24-24. a creature that is quite literally one of the biggest in all of Magic. Actually, I think the biggest would be, because you have Imperious Great Worm, which was a 16/16. It's the biggest creature that's an actual card. But then you have Merit Lage token, which is a 20/20. So I think our 24/24 technically the biggest creature in Magic. I mean, we had to do some work to get there, but he's gonna be big. Gonna be big. Now, if only we weren't stuck on 6 lands, we could eat that entire board. But we are stuck on land, so we're just gonna have to settle for having a 24/24. They're gonna block out 6 damage. Probably a smart move. Hey, look, it's a Banishing Light. Oh, God. That'll kill Vorinclex. Well, it won't kill him, it'll exile him. Which is technically distinct from killing, but, does the same thing. Except for one of the zones is the exile zone, which is not very interactable, and the other zone is the graveyard, which is basically your second hand. Here comes the Dryad. Really love that card. Got the full playset of him. He does fun things. He can, he's an enabler for that one creature that deals 2 damage for every swamp that enters play. Because all lands gain the swamp basic land type. It's a fun little interaction. During one of the all-access events, I played a variant of it with Scape Shift, which is technically around in Historic, but I don't have the 4 playset of it. And Scape Shifting, with one of those on the battlefield, you can get a lot of value. Well, day's done, kids. We are dead on board, and there's no way to change that, unfortunately. So we're going to go out the way of the Light Brigade, during the Crimean War. We're just going to charge in there. See if we can take anybody out on the way. We might be able to. They might decide to block. They probably will. Because if they don't, they die, but we could hope that they don't. Oh, look at that. A little Hateful Eidolon. He's going to stop that 24/24. Why? Because it doesn't have trample. And if you were really making a deck around Vorinclex and Pelucanos Unchained, you would try to give away in your deck to give him trample, but we weren't doing that. We were just milling. And that's game 2. Alright, and here we are on to game 3. Hopefully it will be as interactive of a game as the last one. But my premonition from the future tells me that it may not be as fun of a game as the last one. Like, we still lost the last game, but at least the last game was fun, You know what these long intros mean, right? You should know. I told you a little while ago. Here's our opening hand. In it, we have pretty much everything we want. We're going to get down to Throne of the Death God early, and then we'll get down our Skull Prophet. Should be a good plan for the opener. Unless something changes, we are in a great spot. Got the dog in the hand. Don't remember Big Doggy's name. I don't read things that I put in my deck, which is probably a problem, but I wouldn't know anything about that. Our opponent thinking things over. They seem to not realize that they haven't given us a turn yet. Maybe, I don't know what they would have, or why they would need to think this long. Maybe there's something good on top of their deck. Or did they already finish their scry? They might have. Thinking. Wonder what's in the Pokeball. Alright, we get down our Swamp, we get down our Aegon. Let's see what horrors await us. Now this is going to be a bad, good, bad type of moment here in just a second. And you see, that's the bad first part, because we're a mill deck and we want things in our yard, and Tormod's Crypt stops that. But this is the good, because Tormod's Crypt's not resolving. But it's also the other bad, because Tibalt's Trickery is resolving. And it gets an Ugin. And our deck can't beat Ugin. Yeah, that's just how it is, really. We are not packing any blood under the snows in this deck. No siree. We just have our 3/1s and our 3/3s and our 6/6s, and we were hoping that would get the job done, but sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay. It's okay that sometimes that doesn't work. But still a bummer every time. Every time you see a little Tibalt's Trickery flash across the screen, you're like, oh, I don't get to play Magic today, do I? And then, while you're thinking about how much you don't get to play Magic, your opponent flips into whatever big thing that they had on their deck, or in their deck. And it's always awful. Ugin isn't always the worst, because sometimes You can just go to 3 mana and then Murderous Rider it, and then you're fine. But this deck doesn't have Murderous Riders. Be nice if we did, but we don't. But we are going to try to stick this out. Oh, look, there's a Tormod Grip. This is the bad I was talking about. Because we like things in our graveyard. And if there aren't things in our graveyard, we're in bad spots. But luckily our Throne of the Death God will keep it going. Unfortunately for us, it kept it going in the worst way possible, in that it milled one of those lands that we needed to, hit our 3rd land drop. It's a bad sign when the Tip-Off Trickery deck has more lands on the battlefield than you. They actually have payoffs for those lands. Our best payoff is a 2-mana creature that can turn into an 11/11 if we put a lot of work into it. Or a 24/24 that only is 24/24 if we can get it out of the graveyard and have a Vorinclex on the battlefield. But what are you to do? And that's the game. Ugin ultimated. Our time is up. Terror of the Peaks is going to eat away at our face. Creatures enter, damage is done. And then a lonely snack will come in and eat the rest of us. That's just how it goes. Well, that was game 3. We technically won 1 game out of 3. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.